Voldemort. July, I told myself I was going to ride my bike. Well, my dad's bike, because my bike was a little too small for me. But I told myself I was going to start riding bikes again for July. And July came and went, and I neither rode my bike nor did we record a podcast. So, yeah.
It was just busy. Very busy month.
Yeah, July was crazy. I come home from work and I was just like, done.
Meanwhile, I was shifting from night to day and back again.
Talk about jet lag.
Yeah. And that, speaking of jet lag, how about that trade deadline? The busiest trade deadline in recent memory for Major League Baseball.
Yeah, like I understood last year not wanting to move pieces too much because it was so short and it was like a big sprint for everybody, and everyone was sort of like, well, there's more room for people to make the playoffs, so we might as well keep our team and not sell off. But a couple of years prior, there's been like there really weren't too big of moves, but sheesh. There were lots of moves this time in baseball for the trade deadline. You want to kick off with your favorite one?
Yeah, I gotta say that my favorite deal is the Yankees swooping in under the nose of the Boston Red Sox and grabbing Anthony Rizzo. That everyone was saying that Rizzo was the perfect fit for the Red Sox, that he fits that first base hole there, but equally so...
He was originally drafted by Boston.
Yeah. But equally so is his perfect fit for the Yankees. That he fit right in for
Gold Glove defense,
great clubhouse.
Bat.
Yeah, can we just say the week that he was playing, that how good the lineup worked, how
week he was playing. Why? What happened? Why isn't he in the lineup?
Yeah, well, unfortunately. A rash of COVID waves have been hitting the Yankees and several other Major League Baseball teams. And one of those is, unfortunately, Anthony Rizzo, who should be out at least another week. But we haven't heard anything serious about him, so it should just be about a 2-week spell.
Apparently, I don't think he has the vaccination yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, he had cancer years ago.
Yeah.
And I think his thing was he wanted to know more about it, so I don't know if that was him being a flat earther or like his actual health condition, so I'm not entirely sure about that. Or maybe he did get it since the trade, I'm not sure.
It's hard to tell, and even if he did, a lot of these cases are because they use Johnson & Johnson, and Johnson & Johnson, as we find out, it doesn't really do that well in preventing you from getting the virus in the first place.
Yeah.
But
as long as you don't end up in the hospital.
Yeah, but besides that, even if he doesn't play a single game for the Yankees, from this point on, the fact is that forced the Red Sox to scramble. That they had to go and plug that first base hole with Kyle Schwarber, who, mind you, is still hurt after getting a fracture before the All-Star break. So he's not going to be in September, and he doesn't play first. He's never played first base as a regular role. He's been an outfielder, and before that a catcher, and both times defensively challenged. So even if Rizzo is done with the Yankees, the fact that they had to go and get someone that arguably I think makes the Red Sox worse is a win for me. And
also the Yankees, they struggled last night, but they won today as we're recording on 8/11. He's definitely brought the team morale back. They're like 8-2, 7-3, whatever it is, in their last 10 games, and before that they were sort of like stuck in the middle, behind the Rays and the Red Sox. The Red Sox have had a big fall. The Rays are now back in first place. The Toronto Blue Jays. Are they the Toronto Blue Jays? I forget. Are they back in?
Yes, they are. They are officially back in Toronto.
They're back in Toronto.
Canada has baseball again.
The Jays have been scorching hot, just as the Yankees are. So they're right behind them. They've caught the A's a little bit. So this is going to be a real interesting August to see how September lines up to be.
Yeah. Can I actually say a bit about the Yankee schedule? That as much as we maligned the Yankees for being a struggling team and all stuff. They've only lost one since the Mets series at the beginning of July. They've only lost one series. Like, it doesn't feel that way considering that one series was the Red Sox and we had that horrendous lone save in Houston. But they won 2 out of 3 against Houston. They won 2 out of 3 against the Red Sox in the Bronx. They took 3 or 4 against the Mariners, 2 or 3 against the Orioles. They took 2 or 3 against the Royals, including that downright bizarre game on Monday.
Yeah, I went to bed and I was like, all right, they're up 2-1. I'm like, let's see what can happen. And then you texted me a screenshot of your chat, and I was like, wait, did they win? It said 4 blown. I was like, wait, what? And I like look, and I was like, what? Oh, they did. But how?
Yeah,
what?
In 140 years, we've never had a game where both teams have scored in the 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th innings. We've never had a game where both teams have done it. It's only the 5th time any team has done, the 4th and the 5th time any team period has done that.
Yeah.
And somehow, despite their best, as I call it, despite their best efforts, they failed to lose.
Yeah, but sort of. The Yankees bullpen is supposed to have been their strength. Well, their hitting's supposed to be their strength.
Yeah.
But the bullpen was supposed to be the backbone of everything. And that has just sort of not really happened. It seems every night someone new is just messing it up in the bullpen, giving up runs that they shouldn't be. They all seem to have like 2.5, 3 ERAs, but it's somebody new each night.
Yeah.
And yet, to blame. Except for Zach Britton. He's just flat out said it's just like not happening. And it seems, I don't know if there's just bad luck on him for this year, because you look at his numbers and he really hasn't had a bad season since he became a full-time reliever. And to balloon from like a 1-2 ERA these last couple of years to something in like the 6s. Yeah, something. I don't know if it's sticky stuff or just confidence or some drop in velocity.
Remember, he's been hurt a lot this year too. Yeah. Every time he's tried to get back, he's been knocked back onto the injury list. So he hasn't really had time to really settle his stuff. But despite all that, the Yankees have been winning. But conversely, the Red Sox, since I'm looking at the thing now, since the All-Star break, they lost a series against the Yankees. They then swept the Blue Jays, and they swept the Blue Jays in a it looks like a 2-game series. Yeah, 2-game series that had a rain out, and then won 3 of 4 against the Yankees. After that, the Blue Jays took the next 4 games. Took 3 of 4. They then lost. They got swept in a 2-game rain-shortened series against the Rays. Then they went to Detroit. They only won 1 game out of that, and then they won. And then they only won. They only won 1 out of 3 in Toronto. So they have been absolutely reeling the last couple of weeks, and it's no surprise that they've not only fallen out of the first place, they're in danger of falling out of the first wild card spot and losing that home field advantage. That Oakland is. They're not doing the greatest Oakland, but they're at least treading water, which is more than you can say about the Red Sox at the moment. Yeah. That it's far, and at the same time, the Yankees have been surging, the Blue Jays have been surging. That this wild card race in the American League is far from done as we thought first.
If you're looking at the Red Sox upcoming schedule, I mean, they're in the middle of a Tampa Bay series right now. They got Baltimore, 3 pivotal games against the Yankees, which could make or break where they are in the wild card standings.
Which one of them is a doubleheader, by the way.
Oh yeah. Sheesh.
So that complicates things.
Then they play lowly Texas, lowly Minnesota, Cleveland. You don't know what they're going to do. and they play Tampa, Cleveland again, Tampa, and then the rest of the year should be pretty easy except for the 3 games at the end of September with the Yankees playing. Actually, well, they have the White Sox, but the ending is Seattle, Baltimore, Mets, Yankees, Baltimore, Washington.
Which is a relatively light schedule, if you will.
Yeah.
But at the same time, this is not. This team has been spinning its wheels.
Yeah. Meanwhile, the Yankees have a bit of I mean, they're at the tail end of a pretty easy light schedule, taking on Miami, Baltimore, Seattle, Kansas City. They can beat the Chicago White Sox. That's good. They gotta play Boston there. Then they're playing Oakland. Los Angeles could be a tough series, and they got to play Toronto, and then they finish the season Boston, Toronto, Tampa, jumping a few series. So those are going to be a real tight 9 games at the end of the season.
Yeah, the critical game is going to be those 4 games in the Oakland Coliseum, the 26th through the 29th of August. That is going to be a very big make or break.
Yeah, because if one, as you mentioned earlier, if one team sweeps the other, that's going to shift all that momentum there.
If the Yankees get swept, that more or less knocks them out of the wild card race.
Yeah, because Toronto will probably pass them, Boston.
But if the A's get swept, then you don't even know who's going to be in that first wild card spot. Could it be Oakland? Could it be New York? Could it be Toronto? Could it be Boston? It then turns both positions into a 4-team race.
Yeah.
But the Yankee schedule, it's a little tough, but the benefit of that is they have a lot of chances to make ground on teams. Like the Rays, they only have one more series against them left, but at this point I concede the division that it's going to be tough, if not impossible, to catch the Rays. But
I was reading an article. They were talking about the 2015 Blue Jays, which probably had a better team than the Yankees at the trade deadline. They went in and got was it David Price, Troy Tulowitzki, a couple other key guys. They were like 5 or so, whatever it was, games out of first place, and then they won the division by 6 games. And turned that around. The Yankees aren't as, I guess,
I wouldn't mix up the 2 teams.
I wouldn't. But it is a surging team at the moment.
Yeah, and they have what they have is a lot of opportunities to control their destiny. That they have. Let's see, they still have 6 games against the Red Sox. They have 7 games against the Blue Jays, and they have 4 games against the A's, which are all the 3 teams that factor in it. In between that, they have the Braves, which could be interesting. The White Sox, which will be a tough series, I imagine. But then they also have the Twins. That's a pillow team at the moment. Yeah. The Angels can get in their own way at their times. They have 4 games against that. They have 6 games against the Orioles. They should at least win 5 of those. The Indians are floundering. The Rangers are hopeless, and the Mets are absolutely backwards at the moment. So there is a lot of I admit it's tougher schedule than the Red Sox. Like the Red Sox. That aside from the Yankees, that they have 5 more games against 6 more games against the Rays, including tonight. They've already lost the first game of this series in Boston, but it's roughly, I would say, roughly comparable. That Mariners still have good pitching. Like the Yankees, they have to face the White Sox in Chicago, which is going to be a big deal. Mm-hmm. They have two series against the Mets, which floundering, but they're a little later. They might get a bit healthy in a last win to try to win the National League. Mm. And Washington Nationals, they did blow it up at the end, but they still have Juan Soto. They got a great pitching prospect in Josiah Gray from the Dodgers. That just because they're a team that I could see just making this a quick reset. That they had the team, especially with how that NL East is a jumble of mess.
I mean, the Nationals though are 8.5 back. think it's likely, but the way this division is, who knows?
No,
We'll see the Marlins win the division for all we know.
The Nationals I wouldn't expect to contend.
I do want to point out, months ago when we were talking about Tampa Bay when them and the Yankees were like both at the bottom of the standings, and the Rays were like a minus 20 run differential. The Rays are now a plus 125 with 578 runs scored, 453 against. They're in first place. The Blue Jays have matched them in runs scored, 578, and the Blue Jays have given up one more run, 454. So Blue Jays sit at 124, which is absolutely ridiculous. That
and
puts
they're
them
in
at
fourth
1, 2,
place.
3, 4, 5, 6th overall in plus minus. It's incredible that they're sitting in fourth place doing that. The Padres are sitting in third place in their division, but that's because San Francisco and Los Angeles are in their division and have better plus minuses. But that the Blue Jays are stuck like that, that's just crazy.
Yeah. And also to point out, the Yankees have a run differential of plus 16, so they've basically been giving it. The Red Sox only have a plus 29 run differential because of that skid. So that tells you where one of their biggest problems is, that they've had a bunch of blown saves as of late.
Yeah.
And sputtering.
I think Toronto could be the more dangerous team, considering you don't sit in fourth place with a plus 124 differential. That's just something that doesn't really happen. So I think they've been on the bad end of, I guess, a couple games. I don't want to go too much into their schedule, but
their bullpen was decimated by injuries in the first half, and their replacements were not up to snuff. So that explains a lot of their tight losses, if you will. That they just failed to close it out at the end. They basically scrambled for as much relief and starting pitching help as they could find at the deadline, but that explained it. I'd also like to give a bit of a shout out. Philadelphia Phillies now in first place in the National League East, a minus 10 run differential.
Yeah.
They're 8-2 in their last 10 with a minus 10 run differential.
Yeah, well, there's talk Bryce Harper might be an MVP front runner in the National League with Tatis a little sidelined.
Yeah, and also another thing I'd like to point out, something that's changed. We've been all saying that it's meant to be that it's going to be the Giants, the Dodgers, and the Padres winning the two wild cards in one division. Well, don't look out now, but Cincinnati Reds have been playing really good baseball as of late.
Yeah.
They now sit at 61-53, so about 5 games back. So it's still a sizable gap, but not terrible.
It's still at the plus run differential 15 though.
And most importantly, have you seen Joey Votto take off like it's 2010?
Yeah, didn't he have 7 straight games with home runs or something? Yeah,
the most ever by a Canadian-born baseball player, and just one shy of the thrice-tied all-time record of 8 consecutive home runs. And by the way, two of those games were 2 homer games, so he had 9 homers in 7 games.
And I think actually that 8th game, he was just short. He hit the wall or something.
Yeah, he hit it right to center field. If he had hooked it either way, he would have tied the record. Yeah. But yeah, if you look at the Reds team, Jonathan India is quietly having a good season. You talk about MVP candidates, Jesse Winker and Nick Castellanos are right in that mix quietly, but they are in the mix. They have a bunch of sneaky good. Eugenio Suarez, who despite having a 173 batting average and a 261 on base percentage, has 22 home runs and is second for second on the team. And if you look at their pitching staff, Luis Castillo, not the maligned Mets infielder, but the pitcher, has turned it around from a very bad start to the season and has posted very good numbers as of late. And they have a solid back trio with him, with Tyler Mahle and Wade Miley, that no one really talks about, because who really talks about the Reds? They snuck into the playoffs last year, the last second. They might be trying to do it once more.
Yeah. Well, if you want to get a little bit of a tangent from the Reds, how well do you think they would have done if Trevor Bauer had stayed with the Reds?
Well, they certainly would have been better in the front half because that's when a lot of their pitching was backwards. But now, we know they wouldn't be getting anything aside from payroll relief at the moment. Considering that he's on administrative leave while they investigate sexual assault allegations against him.
Which it's still a really weird situation. Not to get into too much into it, but he's basically admitted it, but he's got texts that say that's what she wanted done, and I don't know. It's a really weird, sticky, murky situation, and it keeps saying for everything that seems to be breaking news now, it's here's this uncharted territory, and it's just how much uncharted territory are we in?
enough that Nathan Drake is going to come in to investigate everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically the argument now is whether it was consensual or not, and this is not the place to talk about it. We're going to let the court sift through that.
Yeah, I can't pick favorite players.
Hey, you had Anthony Rizzo, and
he got traded.
At least for a week he worked out fine. We'll see how much longer, but that worked out pretty well.
I'm so bad with favorite players. So bad.
Yeah, that we didn't talk about everything going around in baseball, but it was just
it was a busy July, and
we
missed a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you had two teams basically roll out the tanks and implode their rosters. The Cubs got rid of their entire core. That Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, and Javier Baez became the first trio of all-star teammates to be traded and then homer in their first games for their new team in the same season. Yeah. And then the Nationals, Max Scherzer's gone, Trey Turner's gone, Yan Gomes is gone.
Did you see that slide by Trey Turner?
Oh, that was... yeah.
That was smooth.
Smooth, too. But yeah, Oakland got Starling Marte. Yankees got Joey Gallo.
Which average isn't there, but he has been walking.
And his defense has been noticeable welcome difference. Did you see that in the 2-0 loss against Seattle? Did you see that throw home?
No.
No, he basically threw a missile to home plate. They initially called it safe, and then they reviewed it and said he was out. So that changed it from in the grand scheme of things. It didn't help them. It just would have made a 2-0 loss to 3-0 loss if he didn't make it. But that defense.
I saw Aaron Judge's throw to second base or third base, whatever that was the other night. Yeah, but that was a good throw.
Yeah, but how about this? You have Judge for basically the next year. You have Judge and Gallo in the corners. When he's healthy, Aaron Hicks is as good a defensive center fielder as you can get.
I still don't want him.
I still don't want him either, but at this point, there are not many good center field options.
I saw this really mean comment. I told my dad about it. But some guy, I assume it's a guy. You got to assume everybody on the internet is a guy. Some guy was like, I just want Brett Gardner to tear his ACL so I don't have to see him hit these little rinky-dink base hits anymore. I'm so done with him. And I'm like, that's awful, but he's clogging up a roster spot. My dad had even said that they should do with Gardner what they did with A-Rod, just cut him now and let them play, because the 2-3 games Voigt's been back, he's been hitting. Obviously, you want to have Rizzo playing first base because he's the better defensive player. Gold Gloves sort of stand out there. Yeah. So you're going to have Rizzo playing first base. You have LeMahieu playing second. If Torres ever decides to stay healthy, he's got short. Urshela, if he can come back, is at third.
And you
so
basically
Voit has to play DH, which means Stanton's got to learn to play left field again. Gallo will go to right field where he won the Gold Glove, and then Judge has to go play center.
Well, no, they'll do what they did they'll do what they did in Miami. That'll be an outfielder. I think Gallo was in left at the Gallo was in right. So yeah, it's not like they haven't done it this year before. That finally the unicorn is here. Stanton can play the field again as needed. So I imagine that once they get it, because Voit has been looking much better in this small sample size.
Yeah.
I think he had 2 RBIs today.
Yeah, something like that. And then he had a couple home runs the other game.
He had the home run on Monday. It said the best offensive lineup is with all those guys in. And though, as said, you keep Gardner just because, as this month has shown, you need the insurance.
Yeah.
And 2, despite how bad a player is, you don't wish injury on them. That's just childish.
No. Yeah, no, that was definitely something that I was like you kind of want him gone, but like you don't want him like that way. That's an awful.
Yeah, like
terrible
even
thing.
Mets fans cringed when they saw Ronald Acuna Jr. wreck his ACL before the All-Star break. Like you don't like him, but you don't want to see that. You don't want to see these guys get hurt. And especially now we're starting to get into the point where serious injury knocks you out for the rest of the season or the postseason. Like I said, Urshela has had a bit of a setback, I believe.
Torres is out 10 to 20 days.
Yeah. Everywhere else, Jacob deGrom is got a setback, and now questionable whether he'll come back. And it's now no longer given that he'll win the Cy Young Award. Clayton Kershaw is not going to be back until mid-September. He's been out since the All-Star break. Since around the All-Star break, that this is the make or break time for a lot of teams. If they get a key injury now, especially as I said, for the Yankees, if Aaron Judge hasn't bruises his rib cage and is out like a month, that's going to be a disastrous thing for the Yankees. Similarly, if as I said, the Reds, if they lose Joey Votto for a month, that basically kills any chance of them coming back. If the Red Sox, if Chris Sale doesn't come back, that's a big problem for them. It's all this point now it's the critical time where an injury is a very big problem, especially since they can't go and get a guy off the August waivers. That's not a thing anymore.
Baseball has been a lot of ups and downs and craziness. But you know what's even crazier than all this stuff that happened in July?
Oh, actually,
baseball. Oh,
yeah. Actually, one more thing I forgot on the cherry on top that is crazy baseball. The Mets in the baseball draft, I said that they got a very good deal in getting Kumar Rocker at 10th overall. That he'd be a frontline pitcher. He was up there with Jack Leiter in the Vanderbilt rotation. Well, it turns out there's a problem in his medicals that avoided that the Mets wanted to rearrange their deal, and the Mets now didn't come to terms with Kumar Rocker. So they not only did they not get their 2021 draft pick because that was Kumar Rocker, their top pick in the 2020 draft, Crow Armstrong, was used in the Javier Baez trade to Chicago. So their last 2 drafts, they don't have their first overall pick. That one they traded, and the other they didn't sign.
Crazy.
Yeah. So now he re-enters the pool for next year. And probably at a lower rate if that's what the medicals is, or maybe he comes in as the top pitcher in the draft. The fact that he'll be 22, he'll be one of the oldest drafted players, is going to make things very interesting for where he falls in the draft ratings.
But yeah, so talking about some crazy stuff that's going on right now in the NBA. These last week-ish. Have you seen some of these contracts that have gone out?
I've skimmed a little of them. I haven't looked too in because I live and breathe and inject baseball into my veins.
Yeah. So let's just talk about some of this stuff. Stephen Curry signed a 4-year, $215 million extension. Kevin Durant signed a 4-year, $194 million extension. Jimmy Butler signed a 3-year, $146 million extension.
Jeez.
Let's see. Giannis won the championship. I don't know if that was recent or not that he got his stuff. Tatum got a big contract early on. What else is here? Chris Paul, who led Phoenix to the number 1 overall seed and then lost in the finals, being up 2-0, got a 4-year, $120 million contract. John Collins for Atlanta got 5 years, $125 million. What else just happened that was big? Looking at the average salary, Kyle Lowry got 3 years, $85 million. Who else? Lonzo Ball signed with Chicago. He was on the Lakers, and they got traded to the Pelicans, I think it was. Or the Hornets. He was that number 2 overall pick a couple of years ago. So he got 4 years, $80 million for Chicago. Russell Westbrook signed with where was it? With the Lakers. So he's got a ridiculous deal now. Trying to find where the numbers are for that. I'm not seeing it right now. But he got a ridiculous deal. Westbrook.
What is a salary cap?
Yeah, I thought years ago baseball was like ridiculous when they handed A-Rod that like $250 million contract, and then he opted out of it and then got an even bigger contract. And then when Stanton got his $300 million contract or whatever, 285, whatever it was, and I was like, sheesh. Yeah. But like these NBA players, these contracts are. It's crazy. Some of these guys, like Steph Curry, are going to be making $50 million a year just on their contract, and you've got like the NHL where like some of these guys aren't even close.
The NHL is like the poor man's league of the big 4, basically.
Yeah, the Rangers just had signed, re-signed Igor Shesterkin, and what was the number? It was like a new record for what is it? I can't find it now. But it was like $6 million or something. Here it is. It is contract carries an average annual value of $5.6 million, and that's the biggest second contract for a goaltender in NHL history. $5.6 million. I mean, it's still a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. For us, but compared to these NBA players, they're making that in like a week.
Like
if you want to look at the cap hit for some of these teams, you've got the Bruins at $79 million, the Canadiens at $83, Lightning at $88. Not seeing anybody really that much higher than $88. So yeah, $88 million going to the Tampa Bay Lightning, who have just won back-to-back cups. And they have a projected cap space of minus almost $7 million, so they gotta shed some of that stuff. So, yeah, the NBA, guys like Stephen Curry are making $50 million just on that compared.
Yeah,
the Buffalo Sabres are making have a $53 million payroll, just to put that in perspective.
I mean, the Buffalo Sabres, I wouldn't mistake them for a competent
no, there's still
NHL
talk
franchise.
about trading Jack Eichel. And I'm hoping the Rangers get him, but like I don't know who you give up in this trade though, because the Rangers have such a you can't touch Kako, you can't touch Lafreniere. I mean, do you dangle Georgiev as a goalkeeper? because apparently there's talks he's not happy being the second goalie. Lundqvist wants to come back and play one more year, try and win a cup. I mean, he signed with the Washington Capitals for last year, but then he had a heart condition where he had to get surgery, so he didn't even get to play for the Capitals. So he still has only ever played with the Rangers, technically.
Yeah.
So could he have a reunion with the Rangers and just take a mentor role and be the backup goalie? I don't know. But like the Rangers can use a good center, and Eichel's definitely performed that way over his short career. I mean, he's definitely not Connor McDavid, but then again, who really is besides Wayne Gretzky at this point?
Yeah.
So, yeah, this has just been, these NBA contracts that have been handed out are just absolutely bonkers.
Yeah. But the Sabres, the best thing they could do is trade Terry Pegula. They have not won they've not gone to the postseason at all in the Terry Pegula era. It has just been a consistent slide to the bottom of the Atlantic Division.
Yeah, they really haven't been the same since Ryan Miller basically left. He should be a Hall of Fame goalie. And Ryan Miller should have been the lead goalie a few Olympics ago, but I don't think they put him in, and they should have. I thought he was the better goalie for the Olympics, and the U.S. ended up not winning. And I was not happy about that. I was a big Ryan Miller fan. But you know how it is when I pick favorites.
Yep.
Things don't happen to go my way. What also doesn't seem to be going people's way is Carson Wentz. New team, still injured.
What's new?
What's new, Scooby-Doo?
Yeah.
The Carson Wentz got traded to the Indianapolis Colts, who had Phillip Rivers for, I think, just a year.
Yeah.
But then he retired. So Carson Wentz was brought in, and he's injured. Their guard, Quentin Nelson, is injured. Wentz and Nelson, they were told they were going to be sidelined between 5 and 12 weeks. They're now saying they might be on track for week 1, but I don't know if I'd put that there, because you still got to learn the entire system. I know you don't want to be in preseason games and risk getting hurt as you're already injury prone. But this is a new team and everything. You got to learn the offense and the X's and the O's and the diamonds and the clubs and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
So
I
don't know.
Though the latest this morning, they say that Wentz is trending to play in the season opener, week 1. Same thing with Quentin Nelson.
Yeah, like I said, they're supposed to be, but I don't know.
I mean, it's not like they're going to be completely out of it. They're still going to be in the practices and.
Yeah.
See, it's not the worst.
It's more
thing
like
in
a
the world.
rhythm of getting in with your new offense.
Yeah.
It's not like you're playing in the Pro Bowl where there's no defense and you can just toss the ball to whomever. But what I find really interesting, though, is that the Colts knew he was injury prone. So the Colts gave the Eagles a conditional 2022 second-round pick that could become a first-rounder if Wentz either plays at least 75% of Indianapolis's offensive snaps. He's not playing week 1 and it was delayed a couple weeks. That'll hurt. Or if he plays 70% of the snaps and the team reaches the playoffs. That second one seems a little more realistic with how terrible that division is. I mean, Prescott's supposed to be back, and I guess the Cowboys will be a little bit better then. He still doesn't deserve his big salary, but you know what? Give it to him. That way they can't spend money on actual players. So, way to go, Cowboys. I guess it'll be interesting to see how healthy Wentz is. He's got the talent. He's just got paper bones and glass skin.
Yep.
Every morning he breaks his arm, and every afternoon he breaks his legs. At night, he lies in agony until his heart attacks put him to sleep.
We can
I know
fix
my
this.
SpongeBob.
Yeah, we can fix this with a little paper mache.
Yeah. He's got a. He'll pay for all his surgeries with chocolate bars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Anyway, that's and then I guess the only other like real major NFL news other than the Hall of Fame happening for what's supposed to be last year and then for this year's stuff, that happened. But the Jets in their number 2 overall pick in the draft, Zach Wilson, had a little bit of a standoff on how signing bonus money was going to happen, and he missed the first, I think, like 2 days of practice. And then since coming in these last couple of days, he hasn't looked that sharp, but I mean, he's a rookie. Mistakes are going to happen. He doesn't know anybody really on the team. So I think that those hiccups are just going to happen, but I don't know. I mean, why couldn't the Jets have just lost those 2 games?
Because
can't they just lose properly?
No, they can't. They can't.
Why couldn't I just get Trevor Lawrence?
You're asking for them to be competent. I don't think either the Jets or the Giants are going to be mistaken for competent run franchises.
Sheesh. Jets. But yeah, so that's about that for football. We talked a little bit about I forgot one of the big contracts for the NBA. Luka Doncic, the Slovenian wonder boy. He's only been in the league like 3 years, but he just got a $207 million extension over 5 years. He's only been in the league like 3 years, but dude is one of the fastest, hottest young stars I've ever seen. He's technically, I think, first overall in points per game in the playoffs, just ahead of, I think, Michael Jordan. But I mean, it's only a couple of years experience, and I think he's only had like a first or second round experience. So nothing too deep into the playoffs, but yeah, it took Michael Jordan several years to win some titles, as did LeBron. So I'll see Luka try and win it out. But yeah, it was a little disappointing that Luka didn't get to make it to the Olympics, to the finals there, and France did. U.S. had a bit of a scare losing some of those preliminary games and then dropping that first game to France, but they ended up correcting that and beating France in the finals. And Durant is now, I think, first all-time in points, three-pointers, and like a couple other categories. So Carmelo Anthony was the leader in a lot of that stuff, but not no more.
Yeah.
Durant, I think, is probably LeBron's still LeBron, but LeBron's not as young as he used to be.
Yeah.
Durant might just be the most dynamic player in the league. Steph's still got the best shot by far with that 3-point shot he has, but to change a game when healthy, there's nothing that tops Durant. His 2 Finals MVPs solidified that. He probably would have won a third one if he didn't tear whatever little calf muscle he has in those skinny legs.
He tore his pinky toe.
Yeah. So he probably would have won another title with Golden State at that point, and if he didn't have to carry the Nets at the end of the year, he probably would have won the title this year too. But like he was just done in that overtime in Game 7. But yeah, so I think that's just about.
Well, there is one more thing that we had the Olympics go on while we were out.
Oh yes.
Although you would be forgiven for not realizing it, and I'll get to that in a second. But
I did kind of mention it with the basketball.
But the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, which because of the pandemic were in 2021, were hosted. The U.S. won won both in gold medal count and overall medal counts with 39 and 113 respectively. China came in second with 38 and 88, and Japan was third with 27 and 58, including the baseball team, which shout out to our former favorite player Masahiro Tanaka for leading the charge there.
I thought he was supposed to pitch the final game, and then I looked at the box score and he didn't. I was very confused.
Probably was a late scratch, but also shout out to Eddie Alvarez on the U.S. team, the first Olympiad to medal in both a summer and a winter sport. He won, I think it was in the
skiing or something, or speed skating.
Yeah, speed skating. I'm blanking on which Olympics it was. I think it was Vancouver.
Yeah,
Vancouver, and the gold medal, and then one silver medal with the U.S. baseball team.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a kind of a bit of a controversy around the viewership. Tokyo Olympics opening drew 16.7 million U.S. viewers, which is a 33-year low.
I think that happens to be that it's halfway around the world.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. What was the Olympic 33 years ago? That was Seoul, South Korea.
Yeah.
Like the only everywhere else that you look at the other Olympics, you had Spain the year after, United States, you had Atlanta, you had Athens. Beijing is a bit of an outlier, I feel, because of that happened amid. I would say two things happened to fold into that, and this is just pure speculation.
Mm-hmm.
One is it's the first big Olympics in China, so you had a lot of you had a lot of the population tuning in to see really a first look at that, and the other that was in the middle of the Great Recession. You had a bunch of people being laid off or furloughed. What now is as good a time to watch the Olympics? This is just me spitballing. This is not in any fact.
Yeah, no, I get that. But yeah, being halfway around the world, basically, time zones. Like they were like having the games at like 3 o'clock in the morning here. I'm like, I'm not gonna wake up to watch Italy win the World Cup, or not the world, the gold medal. I'm like that's just like not gonna happen for me. Shout out to Italy for winning that. I was kind of mad though that they had to go through Spain in the semifinals. I was like, I wanted to see Italy versus Spain because that's my heritage.
Yeah.
But as long as everyone seemed to not want England to win.
Yeah. It's also it's probably also a factor on the ever changing culture of how people consume content. Like now you have streaming options.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to watch on NBC, which is where their ratings are primarily coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Like TV, the viewership. Just for example, the other countries like. It peaked at London with 40 million watching the opening ceremonies and 31 million following the closing. But 2016 was a step back. That it was only they lost about 10 to 15 million viewers from the opening and the closing as they did the years prior. So it also has to play a bit on like host cities. The strongest ratings are usually in the U.S. That's where they get the biggest sponsorship pull. That's where a lot of their prime time viewership comes in. So it's going to be interesting. The next couple Olympics, like the Winter Olympics, is in Beijing next year, which I don't know why. How do you associate snow with Beijing? But besides me, then it's going to be Paris. It's going to be the first time the Summer Games have been in Paris since 1924, so a 100-year absence from France. So that's going to be highly viewed. And then a highly anticipated one, 2028, Los Angeles. I think the third time they're going to be in Los Angeles. Yeah, they're the third Olympiad in Los Angeles. So they're joining up with London as the city that's host the games 3 times. So that's going to be a interesting That's probably going to be a rating cash cow for the Olympiad.
Well, if you want to tangent a little bit from that mention of Paris, Lionel Messi from Barcelona, is no longer there. He is signed with the Paris team PSG. I think the average annual salary is $41 million. Apparently he didn't re-sign with Barcelona because they couldn't afford him or something.
Yes, I heard reports where they said
some weird thing.
He'd be willing to cut his salary in half.
There's been tensions between the two sides for the last several years anyway. But then it looked like he was going to re-sign, and then I guess last second they're like, yeah, we can't afford you. But now he's going to be reunited with his former Barcelona teammate Neymar in PSG in Paris. So look for that to happen. Apparently Neymar wears number 10, which Messi has been wearing for the last several years now.
You know what that means? They're going to trade a Rolls Royce or something, or a.
Neymar offered it to him and he declined. It looks like Messi's wearing number 30. And PSG asked for authorization as 30 was reserved for the goalkeepers under league rules and was worn by some other guy. So it looks like Messi's going to get number 30 at this point, which was his original number, I think, with Barcelona.
Wow, I think
who knows? I mean, how old even? I don't even know how old.
Yeah,
Messi
is.
It sounds like he's 34.
He's been around for like forever.
Yeah, he's been around for so long. Props to Messi for finding a new home. And I guess let's see how much that'll shape things up.
Yeah, and I think on account of hearing very loud lightning around me, I think it's about time we wrap this up.
Yeah, we don't want to lose all this stuff, so it's been a pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. I swear these
less than a month.
Yes, I swear these storms are not my fault.
I'll still blame you anyway.
Yeah.
I'm blaming you for the air conditioning going out at my work all week.
I've never even been. Well, I was. I think passed by it once. That's about it.
That counts. That counts.
I haven't been there recently. Anyway, we'll talk next time. Bye.
All right.